Hi, YouTube. It's me, Mr. Zero the Clown, with my friend Krusty the Clown, Bobblehead. Hey! How's it going? Sorry. I just bought him out of the bookstore. Isn't he cute? Is he just look at his little tummy, too? Makes me feel good about my little tummy because he's got a little tummy. Hey! I don't like how he has blue pants, though. He should have green pants. But it's all good in the hood. Good in the hood. Been depressed lately, so I went and started a project that makes me feel less depressed. And it's a very simple project. Many of you could do at home too. You could do it along with me if you want, if anyone watches this video. I went back and read a book that I've read twice in my life. Stephen King's It. It. I read this book the first time when I was about 13 years old. I had tried it a few times before then, and I've tried it a few times after, and I've only read it through twice in my life. Um, and when my memories of reading it when I was 13, about 13. It was the summer that I was 13, I think. I had spent the night. I would stay up all night reading it, and then sleep during the day because there was no way I was going to sleep at night in the dark while reading this book. I mean, the first time I didn't even watch the movie. I watched bits and pieces when I was younger. When the movie came out, and I was probably about 9 or 10, and it was on television. That's how old I am, folks. When Stephen King's It came out on television, my older sister, she wanted to watch it, so she was watching it, and I would come in and watch bits and clips. As soon as it got scary, I had to leave. You know, I was a 10-year-old wuss, and I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't bathe. I couldn't get in the bathtub for like a week because of the scene with the kid in the shower room and Pennywise comes up through the drain. I couldn't go to bed. I couldn't take a bath. And then a week later, I was so tired and in needing a bath that I just kind of fell asleep in the bathtub. And nothing bad happened to me, so I had no problem after that. However, back to the case in point. And then for Christmas a couple years ago, my sister-in-law gave me a gift card to Barnes and Noble, and it was just enough money she had put on there that I could buy two books. And I said, if I can find it and I can afford it, I'm getting it. So I got it. And currently, I decided I'm going to make a vlog just chronicling how it is reading this book. I really, I'm trying to find exactly where I am. I am the type of I'm a weird person. I don't put bookmarks. I just find where I was, and if I can't remember, if I read something and it's not familiar, then obviously I didn't read it, right? But I usually tend to remember because I try to go chapter to chapter. Or what I like about this book and many of Stephen King's books is that he divides the chapters up. And right now I'm on chapter 5. Bill Denbrough beats the devil, part 1. And this is on page 209. 209, folks. That's how much of the book I've read. Um, and you feel like any other time you're reading 209 pages. Oh, I read 209 pages. No, it's like barely a slice of this massive thousand, nearly 1,100 pages of book. Um, People have you read the Bible? Yes, I've read the Bible, and I've also read Stephen King's It. This is a lot bigger than the Bible and a lot more interesting. However, the reason why I have a hard time getting through this book is I'm going to read off the chapters that are hard for me to read once I get to them. You got part 1, The Shadow Before, and you have this bit called After the Flood that describes, for those of you who are familiar at least with the movie, but maybe not the book, that talks about Bill's brother George getting attacked by Pennywise and how that opened up the killings for that year. Or actually, 57, 58. It happened mostly in 58. But it started in 57 with with Georgie. He was the first death. And then after the festival, this is with the not in the movie at all. Adrian Mellon is this gay guy who gets killed by a whole bunch of uh, hillbilly, well, not necessarily hillbilly, but bad kids. Beat him up, throw him off of a bridge, and Pennywise catches him and eats him. And then you have the six phone calls. The six phone calls is the worst chapter for me to read. Every time I've come to this, it's such a hump. It's such like reading each one, and the first phone call, which is to Stan Uris, the one of the characters I don't find particularly interesting. I don't think there's, and it's odd because he is all about logic and reason. In the movie, he keeps on, it's not empirically possible. But he's so boring in the book. The whole story of him getting the phone call is boring, and I get tired of reading it. And it's mostly from the point of view of his wife anyway. It's all about her story, not Stan's story, and I just have such a hard time getting through it. And all the phone calls are hard to get through for me because there's not much action taking place. It's basically talking about their successes and how they've came to be who they are after the whole experience in Derry in 1958. And it's just so boring compared to the rest of the book. I'm going to whine more. I'm so bored. And then once you get to Derry, the first interlude on page 137, it's all good. That Derry first interlude talks about, it's from the Mike Hanlon, the character, the librarian, the token black kid. He stayed behind and he's making a history of Derry, and he notices that Derry itself is just this evil place. And Pennywise is there, and he's trying to get down the whole history. And it's interesting to read the history of Derry, this huge history that Stephen came up with. Stephen, as if he's my buddy. Hey, Steve! Mr. King wrote brilliantly. Brilliantly. And then I've already gotten into one of the once you get into the childhood stories, it's really easy to read because you start dealing with a lot more action-packed stuff. You got a lot of the horror elements starting to come in. I love Ben Hanscom Takes a Fall. Hanscom. Ben being the fat kid in the group who grows up to be an architect. You find out he's a loner and he really likes reading, and then one day he's walking home from school late and he's walking along the infamous canal in Derry, and he sees this clown walking on the ice there in the wind holding a bunch of balloons, 4 balloons. It's always 4, red, green, I think red, yellow, green, and blue. And the balloons are pushing forward into the wind. They're going into the wind. Instead of being pushed back by the wind, they're going into the wind. And that whole thing has him like, what? And he's hypnotized by that. And of course you have Pennywise in there. They all float. They all float. And trying to talk Ben into coming with them, and Ben kind of wanting to go with them. And then he shows his face, and it's the face of a mummy type creature. You know, it's got a cut that's dry nostrils, sunken eyes with just little dots of light in them, and dry, crusty lips and everything. You know, really just like Boris Karloff's mummy character, if you've ever seen those movies. And that's what it's described as in the book. And it's creepy. And then all of a sudden, it's right there underneath him, trying to climb up and grab a hold of him. This is really when the book starts picking up, and it makes me excited to read it. And that's when it starts getting harder to put down. I mean, from here on out, I should be able to finish it and do it for the third time in my life. But I tell you that the 6 phone calls is the chapter that always beats me. And if anyone out there watching this wants to try and read this, I encourage you to read because it's a great pastime. Certainly better for your brain than watching television. It's been proven. And this is a fun book to do it with. And but you might have trouble with 6 phone calls. The 6 phone calls are just boring. You just gotta fight through it. You gotta tell yourself that the rest of the book is worth reading if you could just get past the 6 phone calls. The first time when I was a little kid trying to read this, the first time, couldn't get past the 6 phone calls. Couldn't get past the call to Stan. Couldn't get past it. Second time, I fought through it, and then there have been multiple. I don't think I tried again until I was in my late teens, early 20s. But and it was just a couple years ago that I had finished reading it for the second time in my life, and I fought through it again. But then I've tried picking it up several times since then, and I couldn't get past the 6 phone calls. You gotta fight that. And if it's absolutely necessary, you can just skip them. But I'm not like that. I don't like to skip through books. And it's kind of my downfall with some books because some books should just be skipped through. Mostly the nonfiction ones. If there's something you're not interested in, just skip through it. But it's such a hard chapter to read. And you look, it's like starts on page 38 and ends on page 136. That's a huge chunk of, well, not really a huge chunk of this book, but it's a lot of pages. I mean, these pages are, the printing is really small. It's a big book that you got to try and get through here. I mean, this book is like almost $10 for a paperback. A paperback. It's almost $10. You can usually pick up a paperback for like 5 or 6. This one, as long as it's not like a huge popular one, but this one is like $10. And this is like, I don't know how many editions into it. What edition this book is. I've read, it was a different edition. I like the cover of that edition a lot more. It had a picture of kind of like a half circle with like crosses for eyes and a red nose and then the red things and then it. And I think there was like a balloon on it. So anyway, that's as far as I've gotten. I'll probably vlog later more about what's going on, but I just wanted to talk about where I am in the book. And that's that. Thanks for watching, anyone that's watching. Thumbs up if you like. And hey, anyone that's watching this, I encourage you to read it too. And then maybe we can, you can comment back to me or make a video response. We're kind of like this internet book club thing. See ya. In communication, as my weirdness tells me to say.